So I did. I pulled up. On the back part, there were some new houses being built, and there were some like Hispanic, and I'm not saying that to be like discriminatory. They were Hispanic people that were out there, and I was like, "Hey, do you know where you can get the carpet that is in the Lorson Ranch model home?" So I told him the model home, which was the same home that we had. I mean, I don't know if it's the model home, but I gave him the name because I asked, like, I looked online for the company for the name. I said, "It's in this." He's like, "Everybody has that same carpet." Mm-hmm. Yes. So we got a roll of the carpet.
Where'd you get that from?
We got it from the guy on the scene. Like, I say guy on the scene, but the construction area. So we got the carpet from the guy in the construction area. Well, I didn't get it then. He said he was going to bring it to me. So I gave him the address, and this is where I messed up. I gave him, and this is why I couldn't tell you this in front of Albert, I gave him our code to get in, because he was going to go fix it. And I just assumed, working in the house, he was going to be okay, whatever. And me and Gannon left. I just said, "Hey,
did you give him the garage door code?"
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what about the alarm?
Well, if you go in through, say, like you're walking in through our house, there's no sensor, so we always keep it on our alarm, and you can walk in through the garage and the alarm will never set off or on. Never. Okay. And the reason for that is, like, there's no door. Like, there's nothing that tells that door that it's open. You see what I'm saying?
So you don't have a sensor there.
Right. So we just always, and the kids come in every day in the garage and never have to, like, set, reset, anything like that.
Okay.
All right, Chase, what do you got?
This interview is about trying to locate a missing child. So it's good we can analyze videos where known information is there to both continue collecting data for ourselves in known circumstances. We can also show you how the behaviors we see when we think someone are guilty are also still here in large measure. And I want you to watch her, even as a decent liar, when she says messed up. Those two words. She describes giving this guy the house code in the same way someone would tell a friend that they accidentally scratched their car. Innocent people don't try to build a strong rapport and trust with interviewers like you're seeing here. There's a few powerful reasons that guilty people do this, like you're seeing in this clip. They typically want to manipulate or distract the interrogators. They think they might be able to control the narrative if somebody likes them. They want to minimize the stress that they're feeling in this situation and helps them to calm down. If that could just reduce the stress and make it feel friendly, helps me to calm down. And I think they're also trying to develop an empathetic response. So way down in their brain, they're thinking, if I can get them to like me, they might let me go. Then I can probably get away with this. And finally, they're overcompensating. They might be overcompensating for guilt. So the feelings of guilt make them pretend to be a nicer person so that they feel less guilty about what they did. So those are the possible reasons that we might be seeing that here. Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, and I'll take that same argument a couple of steps further. If you ever watch a matador when they're fighting a bull, they know the potential for death is right behind that cloak. She knows the potential for what's happening here is right behind her cloak, what she's holding up. And if you don't think she's doing that, watch her. She flourishes and does all kinds of stuff. She's even going to get up later and do all kinds of ridiculous things. You need to hang on this one. This is one of the craziest things we've ever watched. But she has a plan, and that plan is that cape that a matador uses to distract the bull. And she's really bad at it. She just thinks she's good at it because she's never run into anyone who knows what they're looking for. She's lived in a place where she gets to dance around behind the cloak and nobody ever puts her on notice for it. Or maybe they have, and she's moved around because she's moved around a fair amount too. What I would say is a prancer from True Crime Workshop is a person who is a show horse. They're putting on so much show that they must be telling the truth. They must be. She does a lot of chaff and redirect. Scott's wearing, lean up a little bit. Scott's wearing the shirt for it today. She does a lot of chaff and redirect, but she uses props. She's got notes. She's got pictures. She gets up and does stuff. She's an iterative storyteller. She's trying to give you this story a piece at a time so that you will later fill in the blanks for her. When she says, hey, there's this Hispanic guy, she puts her hand to her chest like a Southern girl. She's from South Carolina, I believe, like a Southern girl to say, oh, honestly. And then she describes this guy, and she says, this Hispanic guy. She talks about a Hispanic guy that she's going to later tell us is the culprit. Whoever said, hey, I was at the store and there was a Hispanic guy. Then later, the Hispanic guy came in and did something in my house. And I didn't say, hey, there's this bad guy. There's no stress, nothing. As if she's saying, I saw this little puppy walking down the road. Crazy, crazy. She's got a ton of leads everywhere she goes. When she says that, no offense, she's driving so that she gets you later to set up something for her and she can fill in a blank without having to have a conversation. You should pay attention when somebody does that and asks, why did they bring this up? There's a reason they brought up a guy about the carpet. Watch this lead detective now. She's barriered. She's gripping that cloth. She's bracing her head. And then after the woman says she gives out her code, she goes to full barrier. She crosses her whole body. She's suspicious, and the other one's going to get there too. Chase, I think, was it you or Mark? Mark, I think, no, it's Mark and your Peach stamping her feet. You see the foot stamp? As she explains why she stopped at the job site, it was Peach you were talking about. That's where that one came from. Look, there's so much stuff right here to just get me to jump all over her and pay attention. This is not the way any grieving person acts. And what she started off with is a great beginning of a normal talking person that might be saying, hey, here's what happened to my kid came up missing. Now has just turned into a whole lot of words and a whole lot of stuff to start to build a defense. Scott, you talk about building walls. This is a wall made out of that's what this is. And she's working it up. What you got, Scott?
All right. I agree with you. There are no grief expressions here whatsoever. Nothing. If you just saw this, you'd think somebody might be in trouble for something, but it wouldn't be for what she's possibly going to be in trouble for. Unbelievable. Nothing, which tells us she has no empathy for that child. There's nothing in there. I'm not going to go ahead and say she's a psychopath. Sometimes it takes years to diagnose a psychopath properly and say, yeah, that's what's going on here. But boy, it sure is looking like it from what we're seeing so far. Their illustrators are getting smaller and smaller as she goes. Sometimes they burst out and get really big because of her confidence. But I think as she thinks through, as she's telling her story that she's prepped, she's still checking it as she goes. She's still checking the structure of it, make sure she's saying everything she should be saying correctly. We're starting to see her turtle a little bit more as well. She's starting to get down in here a little bit more. And they start talking about the codes. That's when that starts. And you see her adapting with her hand and squeezing her hand and stuff. And the detectives are doing such a great job here of not just going, you got to be kidding me, and look at the other one going, are you watching this? Because and they're just sitting still. The one that's over on the bottom right, she kind of scratches her ear a little bit, but that's about it. So it may be the confidence that they know they've got her, and they're just watching this to educate themselves on this personality type. I don't know. What else we got? Lots of adapting, and she's hand squeezing a little bit more than she has been up to this point. I think it's because as her illustrators get smaller and she begins turtling a little bit more, which she's going to come out of that in a minute. She's going to her hands. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, so Greg, yeah, she has a plan. Well, everybody has a plan until they're punched in the face, and her plan. Abandoned plan. Basically, the notes are now down by her side, and she's never going to touch them again. So anything that I said in the first video about let's see how she works that barrier. Let's see the body language that goes with these notes. I had high hopes that we'd be getting sound out of these notes, and we'd be able to see that they would amplify what's happening with the body language. Well, no. Completely abandoned that at this point. So even for somebody, as everybody's rightly saying, is most likely a practiced liar, in this situation, her plan seems to have gotten abandoned somewhat. So I think that's interesting because there is some incongruous relaxation to her storytelling, but at the same time, she's absolutely on the edge of her seat. Remember what Chase was saying. Remember what I then built on around this idea of the stomach being protected there, other joints getting protected. Notice how the foot keeps going back to protect most likely the ankle. We'll see that ankle disappear very, very soon. Go back as we look at the replay and count up all those elements that you're seeing where she's protecting vulnerable parts on the body. At the same time, there's this barrage of information and it seems very confident. At the same time, the body language is telling us something completely different. And although, I don't know the crime it's being explained to me as we go along, but I don't know the crime that's gone on here. Even if it were a small crime that she's in for there, why this relaxed kind of way of delivering lots and lots of information, and at the same time, so much inconsistent barrier behavior and protective behavior? Doesn't make sense to me. Look, she's very, very erratic here. Is she fluid or staccato? Well, very, very staccato. Can she hold on to a pattern of movement for any length of time? No, the patterns of movement keep changing. Could be neurotype, could be stress, could be both at this point. But the interviewers, I absolutely agree, mirroring each other very much so. Both put their notes down or to one side. Why is that? Why are they so relaxed? Why are they mirroring each other, keeping themselves locked up as she erratically gestures and changes? Well, I think what they're rightly doing here is just letting her talk it out. Just letting her, because she's going to talk and talk and talk and talk, and they're not having to do too much, only, give her praise and a little nudge along to just talk more. So plan's gone for her. Very interesting what's happening here.
The eyewitness is you.
So I did. I pulled up. On the back part, there were some new houses being built, and there were some like Hispanic, and I'm not saying that to be like discriminatory, they were Hispanic people that were out there, and I was like, hey, do you know where you can get the carpet that is in the Lorson Ranch model home? So I told him the model home, which was the same home that we had. I mean, I don't know if it's the model home, but I gave him the name because I asked, like, I looked online for the company, for the name. I said, it's in this. He's like, everybody has that same carpet. Mm-hmm. Yes. So we got a roll of the carpet.
Where'd you get that from?
We got it from the guy on the scene. Like, I say guy on the scene, but the construction area. So we got the carpet from the guy in the construction area. Well, I didn't get it then. He said he was going to bring it to me. So I gave him the address. And this is where I messed up. I gave him, and this is why I couldn't tell you this in front of Albert, I gave him our code to get in because he was going to go fix it. And I just assumed working in the house, he was going to be okay, whatever. And me and Gannon left. I just said, hey,
Did you give him the garage door code?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what about the alarm?
Well, if you go in through, say, like you're walking in through our house, there's no sensor. So we always keep it on our alarm, and you can walk in through the garage and the alarm will never set off or on. Never. Okay. And the reason for that is, like, there's no door. Like, there's nothing that tells that door that it's open. You see what I'm saying?
So you don't have a sensor there.
Right. So we just always, and the kids come in every day in the garage and never have to, like, set, reset, anything like that.
Okay.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.